Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are running a very fun flag set. For boot camp this year, our special mode of play is Deep Dungeon. We have Siberian Bull and Confused Old Man, which is actually Lord Fizzlebeef playing this one. It's going to be a fun race down through 52 floors to chaos. And Mecklin, what are our blessings for this?
That is a really good question because I didn't even look at them. So it looks like our fighter is coming with the resistance to all of the insta-kill magic, poison, earth, death, time, status, plus an extra 40 HP to boot. The thief is coming with plus 20 vitality and plus 40 strength. That's nothing to joke about. I mean, typically I'd want to go with a fighter over the thief melee carry, but for this, that thief is looking pretty spicy. Our black belt comes with 25 agility and red mage armor. Probably not. No. Worry about that. Red mage gets the hurt all property, which is pretty cool because if we find like an ice sword or a flame sword, it can do some pretty serious damage. Promo fighter armor, probably not going to see promotion in this. Maybe we'll see what the runners decide to do. White mage with 10 luck and 10 strength is pretty cool with the 10 luck. That'll really help for running if we decide to take a white mage, which appears that we have one white mage on screen. And then the black mage comes with elemental magic plus 20 hit. The elemental magic can be pretty nice depending on how our magic rolls in Canaria. And at that, our runners are off.
And it's worth noting that you could pick up lots of Massas in this, which means a Massa plus Hurt All on the Red Mage could be a very potent combo.
Oh yes, that's correct. I completely forgot about the fact that we'll be running into, or could potentially run into, an exorbitant amount of Moss Moons. We could also see some other nice gear like Katanas, Vorpals, the X-Cow. Those will require promotion though, which will require the runners to
castle.
They'll have to go. I can't even remember which floor.
It's like 10 to 30 or something. It's a long range. We probably won't see promotion.
Yeah, it's going to be very minimal if we do happen to see it.
And we have Tail Before Bahamut, which means that it will show up either before or on the same floor as Bahamut.
Correct. Yeah, floors 10 and 30. I just pulled the guide up. So, typically what we're going to see here...
I actually remembered that correctly.
Yep. So I didn't get a chance to look at our level 1 magic. Did you happen to see what we had going for us?
No, but we have broadcast notes. For white magic, we have Amute, Heal 3, Lamp, and Harm 2. And when you have either, Heal 3 is really useful. And then for black magic, the only thing of note is Lightning 3, which is a decent first sweeper.
Yeah, both of those spells are pretty nice to have at level 1 for this. Lit 3, while in itself, probably can't kill all of those fiends out on the first dungeon floor that we saw there. Probably could take down, with a lot of luck, could potentially take down Kraken or Tia. But it looks like we've got both of our runners heading through the early dungeon to try to find potentially Provoca to see what kind of other magic we might have in store for us. I didn't get a chance to look at shops either, so I don't know if the shops were lackluster as well.
If there isn't really good sweeper magic in Provoca, then we'll probably see some lit 3s against a Kraken one that is weak to them.
Yeah.
And then going to Chaos from there.
I would still be pressed to try Tia 2 or Tia 1, just because the boss scaling is not terribly difficult. It's only 100 to 150, so we're looking at what is it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Does Tia have 900?
They also have the beam sword, so they could just throw attempts with the with Canaria being right there.
Yeah, exactly. You might get lucky. You also might get unlucky, and Tia might have all the nasty parts of the scripts.
Yeah. It is interesting how this is one of the few situations where the Venusaur is actually the best AoE caster item.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Called out in chat the Bane Sword for 31k in Canaria. Kind of expensive, kind of hard to get that kind of cash early on, as all the boxes have progressive scaling, so that in the sense that the deeper you go into the dungeon, the better the equipment gets, the bigger the gold boxes, that kind of thing. So like finding 31k early is going to be a bit rough. This came with an AoE weapon. What was that?
I didn't catch it.
I was gonna say I didn't catch it either. Well, it wasn't in Confused Old Man's armor tab, so maybe it was a weapon. Maybe it was the Thor hammer or the mage stick. Unless it was the Bane sword that we started with and we sold the Bane sword. Maybe that's what we had seen. I don't know. It goes so fast, it's so hard to tell what's happening in these seeds. Even playing them, it feels... Yeah, Bane sword in the inventory, so that must be what our starting AoE. And with that, I would absolutely press Tia and dive Tia.
And our Fizzlebeef picked up an axe +4, which goes on the fighter, which is pretty strong for that fighter, at least early on, before you find all the valuables in deeper levels.
So for anybody confused about what's actually happening here, Deep Dungeon is a 52-floor dungeon. It's all-encompassing together. Every floor is procedurally generated. There are upstairs and a downstairs on every floor, save certain floors like the one Siberian Bull was just on, where we had 2 downstairs, which will lead to a town. Towns are layered in the sense of progression in the vanilla game, where you're going to run across Canaria, Provoca, and then Elfland, and so on, to Lefane being towards the end of the dungeon. There's no NPCs, so no fighting Bicky for early levels. But we do have access to the magic shops on these floors. Now, if you save and reset, you will start at floor 1. You will go all the way back to the Canaria Overworld section, where you have to essentially redive. And so that's where the shortcuts come in play with Lich and Carry and Kraken and Tia. Each of those will give you an extra 10 floors of quick access, so Lich floor 10, Carry floor 20, and so on. So Tiamat will put you on floor 40. Chaos is on floor 52, and that is our goal. Looks like we found Elfland as well. There's some better magic, Ice 3 and Quad X. It is worth noting that Quad X has a higher power word threshold of 600 versus 300.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's
not something that would come into play very often, but I would be taking that Quad X straight back to Tia, throwing as many Lit 2s as I can to get Tia down within range, and then throw a Quad X.
The only problem is I think Chaos resists it.
Chaos does resist it. However, we could use it against Tia to propel ourselves further into the dungeon.
And there's a Brack in Elfland magic, so that makes the insta-kill of Tia very much going to happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I do have a sneaky suspicion that both of these runners are going to end up doing the full 52-floor dive, and we'll be seeing a lot of Deep Dungeon tonight.
The other option is to take advantage of save on game over to exit out to Canaria and then take the shortcut.
Yes, 100%.
Also good to point out that Temper is at the same level as Brack, which is going to be very helpful for the Chaos fight.
Oh, 100%.
It appears that Siberian Bull is trying to use save on game over.
Yeah, it's not a bad play. And that'll revert you back to Canary, as we said. It completely revives your party, brings them all back to 100%, as if you just used the inn and the tavern in one combo. So it's a pretty nice flag. Plus, it saves you at the same time. And there we go.
There we go. Siberian Bull is wiping the party. You got the music going since Fizzlebeef isn't playing with music and sound effects only.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some problems here with Siberian's stream for a few moments.
Well, Siberian found the white shirt and also has rezzed all party members.
I'm just gonna go ahead and put the OC remix up, and we'll listen to OC remix for tonight. If I could get this to just work for me properly. I don't know what causes this. At least OBS like holds the crop, so I don't have to recrop. Okay, so I missed what was happening over here on the confused old man side. It looks like Siberian is trying to bane down this Kraken.
I'm a little bit surprised that he's going for the Kraken and not straight for Tia, but it makes sense because of the Lit 3, so you can just use pure damage. Whereas Tiamat, you're basically just stuck to trying to use the Bane Sword as much as possible, unless you want to really make use of.
Yeah. Could potentially be going for just some earlier levels too. Get some sustain off before trying to push Tia. Well, that was a Bane Sword for sale, so we started with a Bane Sword. We have a Bane Sword for sale. There's also saw a Defense Sword for sale in there. That could potentially come in handy later on. And here we go. Now we're trying for the Tia. Yeah, I felt like we were trying to get a little more early levels for some sustainability on this Tia fight. Ooh, experience boxes and X ethers. That's something we didn't talk about. X ethers. So in not just Deep Dungeon, but you can do this in general in any flag set you want. There is an option in the randomizer to turn tents, cabins, and houses into ethers, dry ethers, and X ethers, which will restore some magic points and another ribbon pickup. I missed the first one, but now we have 2 ribbons on the confused old man side. But anyway, ethers. So plain ether will give back 1 magic charge for level 1 and level 2 for the character. It's a single use for a character. Dry ethers will do levels 1 through 4. Will give back a single charge of each, and X ethers will give back 1 charge for every magic level. And like I said, those are for single party members only. They do not work for party wide. I see an Ice Sword +5 and a Sun Sword +2. Another Sun Sword +2. Those are pretty nice weapons to be swinging, especially since the temper rolled low enough. They can put out some pretty serious damage.
And Fizzle, now satisfied with the 2 ribbons and other items, is coming back to provoke a Cuneria with save on game over. Siberian Bull picks up a pro ring.
You know, we're decking that that fighter out. We don't seem to care much about gear on any of the other party members. Now, that silver armor can be equipped with a red mage. I would not have ditched out on that. I would have held on to that. But we may be just trying for a solo fighter.
A stick.
Ooh, Roostic's nice.
Also, some people just tend to not take red mages very often, so it can make sense to forget what things it can equip.
Oh, absolutely. Red mages are a very confusing class. I can never remember what spells they learn, and it's hard to remember what gear that they learn. Silver armor has always been something that sticks out for me for some reason, and I think it's just because it's not thief equipable, but it is red mage equipable. And I think the only reason I know that is because red mage armor is a blursing and also a malice for the thief, which is kind of funny. Red mage armor bonus for the thief, red mage armor malice for the ninja.
Yeah, the relationship between the red mage and red wizard combo versus the thief and ninja is always something that stuck out to me as very interesting in the balancing of this game. Taking on the water with the Ice 3, which makes sense. It is weak to Ice 3, and I want to point out that Ice 3, for enemies that are weak to it, it can technically do more damage than a nuke.
Yeah, what is it, like a critical hit on your magic spell, which gives you an extra, it's like 40 to 80 damage or something like that, I believe. It might be a multiplier, I don't remember.
I think it might do the regular crit stuff, but maybe not. I don't think, actually it doesn't. It's different. I forget how it works.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just know big numbers. That's all I know.
But because the weakness of it makes it so that you'll crit almost certainly, there's a Masa -2.
It's still a Masa.
Yeah, putting it on the thief so that the thief can actually have something to swing because it can't swing that axe, and that axe is decent enough. For K +3 for Siberian Bull.
Yeah, that's a good play, throwing that Masa there. That way you have
Zap threats.
2
Zap is
melee.
underrated. Another ruse stick for Siberian Bull.
Yeah, suddenly those defense swords in Canary are no longer worth as much.
Yeah, and Siberian Bull is not healing his characters, so probably going for another save on game over dropout. Fizzle finding a lot of money, which is useful, and Lafine, you want to be able to buy all the spells you could want. And you aren't able to sell your expensive Vorpals there.
Now, we could run into Gaia potentially before we get to Lafane. I believe Gaia has an inclusive floors of 37 to 41, so not necessarily going to happen. Would have to land on floors 40 or 41. And it is worth noting that, and I don't know...
600 power word threshold used on that Nacho.
Oh, nice. It's worth noting that the shortcut, that's another Masa. Suddenly, we're in really good shape right now.
Yeah, the Masa, you get that red mage with hurt all plus the Masa moon. And since the hurt all does extra damage per hit, the weapon that does maximum hits is really good combination with it.
So an interesting quirk with how Deep Dungeon works: if you take the shortcuts to a floor, you cannot actually go back up floors. If you go through those stairs that you came through to get the shortcut, you will go back to the Canaria hub.
I did not realize that. That means
I
the staircase up work like warp.
I found that out the hard way.
That's so strange.
Yes.
I wonder how difficult it would be to make a flag to turn that off.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure how that works in the coding, the way that the floors are programmed. But I do remember that happening to me. I was trying to
Another ribbon for
Another ribbon.
Lord Fizzledy.
in this
I did a
room.
pass. Oh, and a mage stick +5. Vorpal +5, which still sucks. in this
Another
case.
ribbon.
See, this is where all the good items are.
An opal -2, and this is what progression item scaling is about.
Katana +3, just as useful as the Vorpal +4.
Yeah, it'd be great if we got a free tail and we ran into Bahamut, but it's such a wide range of floors that unless you have reason to go on those floors, it's just not worth it. There is another mode of Deep Dungeon where the shortcuts are not based on the fiend fights; they are based off of certain key items that you can only find on certain levels in the dungeons. So, like, it can... in that mode, you can run across both the tail and Bahamut, but...
Yeah, it makes you explore more of the floors.
Right. But in this version of Deep Dungeon, more than likely it's not going to happen. These chest floors...
There's so many. That Ice +5 is going to be pretty good for whichever character gets it, and 2 of them. And a gold +4, that's... I think it's better than the Opal -2.
It's... Yes.
Yeah, because it's a difference of +5 or -5.
Yes. My quick math, which don't do math on stream, kids. My quick math is saying that yes, that +4 gold will give you a total of 32, whereas a -2 opal will be a 28.
Yeah, and then also the evasive bonus.
Yes,
Or
exactly.
rather, yeah, that's the other consideration. So even if it was a +3, it would still be better.
Not 28,
Even
30.
though that makes it even.
Yes.
I really love watching all the different proc gen floors.
Yeah, the proc gen floors is really fun. Question in chat: any spicy blessings that I missed? So the fighter comes with the insta-kill protection plus 40 HP, where the thief comes with plus 20 vitality and plus 40 strength.
So Thief was good enough to actually take this time.
Yeah, like 100%. I'm taking a thief.
The only other blurring of note is that Red Mage has Hurt All, and in a flag set where you can get 5 Mossas, that's a really strong combination if you can get enough Mossas that you put one on your Red Mage.
Yeah, exactly. Which it kind of feels like this is this kind of seed where you're gonna see 4 Mossas. So power bonk
grabs a power bonk with just the Red Mage left before saving on game over.
I'm interested if we're really pushing to try to find Lefane here in a moment.
Right, because Lefine Hospitality is on, which means you can go res your character's sleep at the end.
Yes. But we're going to take a dive. Now it's time to assess the gear that we have picked up along the way And then I assume that this will be final push in the dungeon.
Putting the Zeus bonk above the power bonk, that's gross.
I'm gonna go with we're using that spot as a sweeper in the meantime, to pick up a
Yeah.
few more levels along the way. We pretty much have the floor is routed at this point, so it's going to be a quick. Okay, I remember what this floor looked like. The stairs were kind of in this general direction. Now I just have to remember what that floor actually was, so I can see us pretty quickly diving down and getting back to the floors that we were on before the untimely death there. Oh, and there we found Gaia. All three staircases right next to each other. But we're gonna skip Gaia. If I was Siberian and I didn't have, if I haven't been to Canary in a minute, I would have stepped into Gaia to sell any armor that I'm not able to equip, just so that I
Yeah.
for sure have the money for spells when we get to Lefane.
And sell all of those legendary weapons that you won't be able to equip.
Exactly. All those precious katanas, vorpals, and X-cows that we picked up along the way that are just rotting away in our inventory.
Yeah, a variation of this flag set that I want to explore and maybe a pickup race sometime would be in party selection, 1 or 2 of the characters you can choose from the promoted class, which would be really interesting. Although you'd probably just choose the fighter for that always.
You do it like as a tri-state option,
Oh, that would be interesting.
and then it'd be really funny whenever neither one of them roll and you're stuck with. Yeah. Stuck with red mage as a melee carry.
Well, hey, if it's the red wizard pre-promoted, that can swing a Vorpal, which is a bit of Vorpal versatility that is rarely seen. But I just want to point out, because I think it's funny, the current song on OC Remix is The Myth of Dark Moon.
The Eye of the Beholder.
Mm-hmm. Which may or may not have happened because I went and voted for it. And I may or may not have also influenced the next song that's coming up. There's Lefine. And I love that because you can't get line backed in this. And it also opens up a shortcut where you can just walk through the center and talk to the fountain along the way. And Siberian Bull found the large room that has all the opal and the Vorpal stuffs in it.
Yeah, that's the treasure cache for sure. But it looked like to me every chest in that floor was in that one room.
Yeah.
Okay,
so and Saber.
And we saw Temper already. Have we seen Fast?
There it is at level 6.
Yep. Did we see Nuke or? I don't think we saw Nuke.
Probably in Gaia. Yeah, no Nuke.
Well, if it's in Gaia, it's not really much use to us anyway. We're not going to be, not likely to be getting many of those spell charges at that point.
Hey, we still got some Final Fantasy music after all.
Requested by yours truly, Franklin Radical Nerd.
I was really happy when I saw that it wasn't on cooldown for once.
Okay, so Chaos Floor should be very soon here. I think we're pretty close to floor 50 at this point. I don't remember the last time we saw a menu check for floor number. But just based on the floor layout itself, this looks like we are approaching very closely. I would have to say we're probably on floor
palette
50.
used is representative of the levels, and I think that's a flag you can turn off and it just becomes completely random, but having the tiered is really helpful in quickly guesstimating where you are.
Correct. That's a nice stair glitch that was there seen on Siberian side there briefly.
I didn't see it.
It glitched into the skinny walls there on the sky layout, and so it almost looked like there was a door in the wall where you could walk through.
One fun thing I like about Deep Dungeon is that I can do the door glitch a lot, as I equip items that I just grabbed from the rooms.
Okay, yeah, we're approaching a lot of empty rooms here. This definitely feels like we're on floor 50 or 51. We found Agamas as well. That's a very good indication that we are on the floor directly before Chaos. But where are the stairs? Oh, one more floor. I feel it. I know I've said this like 3 floors in a row now.
There's the stairs, and another Masa!
Well, suddenly the
Yay.
Hurt All Red Mage comes into play.
Which is not going to be useful,
There we
because of Chaos.
I like the blue room Chaos floor.
That's really sad, though. The Masa Moon came just in time to not have this energy with Hurt All.
Just left FFR seed for you right there. Standard run-of-the-mill FFR seed. And so we're sitting around level 22. The red mage is around level 24. Looks like we don't have fast on the red mage. I guess it was level 6, so we weren't able to learn that. But we do have the temper. Alright, and Chaos is pulled for our confused old man tonight. So we have swing, swing.
Oh, noticing that expert got picked up.
Defense, swing, temper fast. 8 hits for almost 600. This Chaos is not long for this world. Well, with rolls like that, maybe it is. Only 200 damage there. We're sifting roughly around 1,000. Chaos has between 2,000 and 3,000 HP, so we're a third to a half of the way there. Turn order does not come out.
Turn order is rather bad.
Yeah. That's how it goes for me as well. Also noting, we didn't use the power bonk that we picked up. Alright, should be any second now. And there it is. Get your GGs out in chat for our confused old man.
Siberian Bull got all of that experience funneled onto the one fighter, I think. And also finds Lafine.
Perfect timing. As it was written in the stars.
Oh, there's invis too. I didn't notice that before. Very helpful for a chaos fight. Yep. Remember to pick up that Quad X with the 600 power word threshold.
Yeah, it's not often you see it bumped up to that degree, except for higher scaling flag sets. But it's definitely nice in case you run into something with pretty high HP, which I think the HP scaling for enemies isn't even that high either. So like, it's likely to kill anything you come across aside from the fiends and chaos or undead packs.
I love Quad X, and in lower scaling flag sets, it's something that I can use a lot. But if it's even a little bit of a higher scaling, I really appreciate, and I think it's a bit better balanced with that 600 power word. Anything higher than that, though, and it becomes completely overpowered. And you also have to remember that it also increases when used against you. So if you don't have a ribbon or a pro ring.
Exactly.
And you can set it to ridiculously high, like 1200, which means that you can't even have HP above the maximum. Oh, these lines have high MDef. Only thing good again. Oh, never mind. The first zap hit none of them, and the second zap hit all of them. Zap good after all.
You don't sleep on Zap. Zap can do some pretty nice work.
Yeah, I was really disappointed to see that Zap hitting 0 of them, but that was a really strange anomaly. Then it just hit all of them next. Batmen are decent EXP if you have the sweepers to deal with them. And lightning works pretty well.
Do we have...
Good turn there.
No. Okay. I wasn't sure if we had the intelligence effect spells flag turned on, but we do not. I was wondering if those were intelligence-based crits we were getting.
Oh, that would have explained the zap thing.
Yeah, but intelligence isn't on, so...
No, that actually just was an anomaly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the accuracy, it maybe have the worst accuracy, but it also, a lot of enemies with this scaling aren't going to have the highest of MDef. Plus, you got to remember, 3 and 256 is still a thing.
It has better accuracy than Rub and only a little bit worse than Bane and Quake. And that Quake is resisted by basically more than half of the enemies in the game that have low enough HP that you'd care about caking them.
It's still one of those spells that if I have the extra slots for in that magic, that level of magic, I'm probably likely to pick it up unless I'm short on cash, just as a in case I run into Lich too early, or I run out of other sweeper magic. I love that room.
That gap that looks like it works, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
I like it too.
I love how that room works.
Yeah, with Cake versus Zap, if they're on the same level, I'll usually just take Zap unless I really have the extra money and space in this spot. But even for Lich, Zap is only a couple percentage points less likely to hit. And it's more atypical to send it to the 4th dimension than to feed Lich Cake, even though it's a little bit more meaty to feed Lich Cake.
No, it's Lich's birthday. Lich deserves cake.
Yeah, Odoron, it's less funny to zap Lich, but it's more fun because it's interesting. Also, just a reminder, Zap has around a 10% chance to land on Kraken. So if you don't have Brack or Bane, then you still have that option too, which makes Zap almost as versatile as Bane. And against regular enemies, Zap is more versatile than Bane, even though Bane, as opposed to Cake, is able to hit a lot more things. These rock goals are some good experience. For these later floors, you got all the later enemies that are harder to take down. Hey, and there's Zap putting in work once again. Couldn't do that with Bane on those guys.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Don't sleep on Zap.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's starting to wake up on Zap. Which is kind of sad because that's an advantage that I like to use.
It's definitely one of those things that it comes and goes in waves, I feel.
Don't sleep on Thieves, Odoron says. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Thieves are pretty good. Most flag sets nowadays buff the Thief to overpowered, but I think we're starting to swing back into lower extra agility bonuses and Thieves that are a little bit more of a decision to take, instead of an auto take. So that pendulum's starting to swing back, which is nice.
I was more just thinking, don't sleep on them or they'll pickpocket you. I know 80 agility is the norm, but I do feel like scaling it back to 50 is not the worst thing in the world.
I think 30 is the most balanced. In a speedrun situation, the running itself is so useful, and 30 agility still gives it a massive first strike bonus versus something like the fighter in first slot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And remember that the luck also contributes to first strike, which I didn't know until recently.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Odoron on that, with the armor selection being mostly bracelets and wooden armor until promotion. I think
it's more interesting for the agility to be just low enough that it's worth considering not having the Thief in the first slot the entire game.
And see, I think that's where 50 agility comes into play.
Well, 50 agility, you automatically put the Thief in first slot. If you have 30 agility, then there's decision makings on whether you put the fighter in the first slot or the Thief in the first slot, and you can be switching them out a little bit.
Oh, no. I wouldn't do that unless we have 10 agility. Vanilla agility only. 30 agility is still a big boost compared to the fighter. Sure, you still might get hit with 30 agility, but I feel with the extra agility, you're still less likely to get hit. And let's be real, if your Thief at that point is mostly just a damage tank to keep your fighter up to get the levels.
Yeah, and for that, lockpicking being off can be a little bit sad. Although in this flex set, it is actually on. It's not very relevant, but the Duck Dons very specifically included that as a joke and pointed it out during the reveal. The Siberian Bull finds another Masa. Or is that the first Masa?
This is the second Masa. No, it is the first Masa.
Yeah, it's the first Masa for Siberian Bull.
I thought I had seen. I know it's the last Masa we're gonna get too.
Just in time for Chaos. That was perfect timing. I think less crit than the Ice +5, but probably still worth putting on unless you are planning on sabering and tempering to the moon. But the scaling isn't that high.
No, like I said, Chaos is only going to have at most 3,000 HP. Stats
Yeah,
up
no
to
worries of an Auto Paradox here.
yeah. And if it's any indication of how it went on the other side, this Chaos is just gonna kind of lay down and take the punches.
Yeah, even with the -2, the Masa will not betray you. It will put in its work. You have the tempers.
Oh, it did it now. Why did it do it now?
No.
Why did it do it
Well, I was
now?
wondering, why is Siberian Bull taking forever to choose to put the temper on? But no. Okay, good. We got it back. Invis 2. Yep, it's great pickup for this flag set. And then there goes the thief. Oh no.
I know, right?
X for Zap Chaos. I think even with X for that's still a 2 and or a 3 and 256. The only thing that isn't is X for Brack.
I'm trying here, folks. I'm trying.
And if it's still a 3 and 256, you may as well skip just to Brat. I mean, just a Zap.
There it is. We got it
GG.
just in time. We got it. And now, joining us in the booth is Siberian Bull. GG's.
Sorry, I had to mute a few things because I thought
Oh, you're good. No worries.
there was fireworks also going off, so I was worried, like, oh boy, is that going to come over the mic?
Oh, yeah.
There's a university across the street from where I live, so that's one of the reasons why. Anyway, yeah, thank goodness for Validation Masa, because I was not looking forward to using Ice Sword +5. So at the end there, is like, all right, I have to kill as many of these things I can, so I can have as many charges as I can. That beginning was I felt was a little rough for me because I was hoping. Clearly, Lich didn't want to cooperate. Fortunately, I was able to kill Crack with the levels that I had, but I was talking with my opponent in the race room. Apparently, he found 3, and it made me sad that I didn't find any of those. But yeah, GG's to my opponent. Thanks to you guys for restreaming. I know it was a light load night for you guys, but I'm glad who came out tonight for this. I'm glad to have you guys here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you on board. Sorry, I think I was muted earlier. I agree that the early game was probably not the easiest, but you pulled through, and like you said, luckily that validation box paid off in the end there. I think the Ice +5 could have made it. You had plenty of tempers, and you had at least one fast charge, I think.
I did. I was considering at the end there, if I was going to have to do that, I was going to go back and forth with the tempers between the fighter and the red mage, because since that red mage was carrying the sun sword.
At that point, I think it's beneficial to just load all the tempers onto one melee carry and then focus damage that way. But yeah, good show. Franklin, did you have something you wanted to throw in there?
What is your favorite part of Deep Dungeon, and do you like Deep Dungeon as an alternate mode of play?
I mean, I've done it the flags before, just not here on a restream. But I guess being able to jump straight to the end is my favorite part. If you have the magic and the charges to kill Tia, other than that, it could tend to be a slog.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh yeah. Hopefully next time I can put on a better show with this because yeah, this particular seed was not exactly, I don't want to say kind, but it definitely didn't make things easy.
No, it definitely made you work for it. That's for sure.
And no easy fade or nuke.
Yeah, there's a big variance in these seeds. They can either be 20-minute seeds or they can be 45-minute seeds. So that's the one that got rolled tonight tended to be more on the later end of the scale. So, but like I said,
not like our class seeds. We got nuke and fade both times.
Yep. So, any last thoughts for the evening from either of you?
No,
Well,
I think I said what I needed to say. But again, thanks to you guys for doing the commentary and doing the restream Mechlin. Even though I saw at the end there that it hiccuped, but I still appreciate you doing the thing, and I thank everyone for coming out to watch this race.
Yeah, I also want to give a thank you for Mechlin pulling double duty. And I also want to plug the Duck Derby is coming up. And I think the registration deadline is tomorrow. So if you're a duck, definitely go sign up for that if you're at all interested in racing.
Deadline is... Oops, sorry, go ahead.
And you will be racing against your peers like me and Siberian Bull, who are fellow ducks and not exactly experienced veterans like Mechlin.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but sure. I think I luck into a lot of things. The Duck Derby signups end Saturday night at midnight. I just checked the wiki page. So yeah, sign up if you haven't yet, if you're interested in racing. Also, Sunday night is the final night to submit. I think it's submit for the Summer Rando Marathon. So if you have any interest in the Rando Marathon, let me pull up the other screen here real quick. Happening June 13th through June 15th, live in Charleston. It's an all-weekend event where runners from all varieties of randomizers come together to put on a showcase to raise funds for the Liam Foundation. So if you have any interest in submitting anything, cutoff is Sunday night around midnight, and this is Eastern time. So hope to see you there. Thank you, Franklin, for hopping into the booth with me as an emergency backup. Really appreciate that. I know it was kind of last minute, but thank you for hopping in with me. GG's to Siberian Bull and our confused old man runner. With that, we will catch you all on the next rendition of the Duck Boot Camp, which will be Sunday night for the final race in the Platy Party. Stay tuned. It should be on RPG Limit Break at 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a good
we
night.
all want to watch Mechlin win that.
Now. We can still have a 5-way tie. We discussed it. There's a possible 5-way tie.
I did see that.
But yeah.
And then you can run solo vanilla tiebreaker.
I'm cool with that. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, have a great night, everyone.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Night.